All right, everybody. So this is page 3 for lesson 38. Let's get to the nitty-gritty. Here, it's asking us for each one of these questions. Part A, compute the value of the discriminant of the quadratic equation in each part. So let's try that for question 8. Here, question 8, it's saying, what is the discriminant of this? So remember that for the discriminant, we have some b squared minus 4ac, okay? Now, question, is it in standard form? Yes, remember, standard form looks like some ax squared plus bx plus c, and we have it in that form, and it's equal to 0. So here, what is your a, what is your b, what is your c? Your a is 1, your b is 2, your c is 1. Now we're just going to plug these numbers in here, so then you have 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times, oh, did I say c equals c? My bad. C equals 1. 1. Okay, and now what does this equal? This is 4 minus 4 equals 0. Okay, so we know that this b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0. Now what's the next question asking us? It's saying, use the value of the discriminant to predict the number and the types of solutions. So here, for part B, you know that this b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0. So what do you know about the types of solutions for this quadratic function? How do you know what the graph will look like? And here, we have to go back to this. You know that because b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, you're going to have one real solution, and it's going to basically hit the x-axis at one point. So let's actually confirm that, okay? Because that's what this is telling us. Like, it's saying that this has to happen. So let's find out. Here, so we know there will be one real solution. It will have to intersect the x-axis at one point. Okay. It'll have to intersect the x-axis at one point. All right, so here, let's look at part C. Part C is asking us to do what? It's saying, use a calculator to create a rough sketch of the equation. Do the types of the intersection match the types of the solutions you will receive, that you've received? So here, let's just take a look at part C. It's saying, okay, let's use the calculator. So what I want you to do is take a calculator, right? Let's zoom out and notice if we have y equals, oh wait, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to reset, right? How do you reset the calculator? Second plus 712. Okay, great. Now, y equals, let's plug it in, x squared plus 2x plus 1. And let's hit graph. And let's see if it matches. Notice that if you zoom in, what did we say will happen? What is our one real solution? What is our solution? It's -1. So here, x equals -1. Okay? And notice that it does exactly what we thought. It just hits the x-axis at one point. And that's it. Okay? The idea for this part is just for you to try it yourself. Okay? So here, this is... It hits just at one point, right over here. Okay? What I want you to do is try and do question 9 by yourself. Okay? So here... Let's take a look. You know, pause the video and try and do it by yourself. But here, let's say, so you have A, B, and C. Okay? Here, and we'll put a question letter D as well. Right? This will be a little thing on the side. But here, what is the value of b squared minus 4ac? Okay, so b squared minus 4ac. Okay? Here, your a value, because remember, if I have x squared plus 4, that's the same as x squared plus 0x plus 4 equals 0. And the idea of doing that is just to say that A equals 1, B is 0, and your C is 4. Okay? So here, this becomes 0 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4, and that's equal to 0 minus 16, and that's equal to negative 16. So what you notice about b squared minus 4ac, notice that negative 16 is less than 0. So if you know that your b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, what does this mean about the types of solutions? What I want you to do is look at the notes, right? So here, if you have b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, you're going to have two complex solutions. And what do you know about the graph? Notice that the graph will not hit the x-axis. So let's see, for part C, let's actually check it. Let's plug it in and see what happens. So if I go to y equals, and I'm going to plug this function in, x squared plus 4, I have x squared plus 4, dum-da-da-dum, and look here, it does not hit the x-axis, right? And here, what has to happen, there has to be two complex solutions. So I messed up because I didn't ask you to actually compute this. Like, what are the solutions to this? Well, that's what I want you to do right now. Just take a second, use the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Use the quadratic formula to see what the two complex solutions will be for this function x squared plus 4. So let's take a look. Here, you remember, you know your a is 1, your b is 0, and your c is 4. So let's plug it in. Right? What I want you to do is try and do it by yourself before you actually see me do it, right? So this is what? Negative 0 plus, let me zoom in a little bit. This is negative 0 plus or minus the square root of 0 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4. Okay? All over 2 times 1. So x is equal to 0, because you know, negative times 0 is just, there's no such thing as negative 0. Plus or minus the square root of 0 minus 16 over 2. So x is equal to 0 plus or minus the square root of negative 16 over 2. Now, how do you continue from here? The idea is you say x is equal to 0 plus or minus the square root of 16 times the square root of minus 1. And what's the trick with that minus 1 over here? Then you say 0 plus or minus 4i over 2. Because the square root of 16 is 4. The square root of negative 1 is I. So then you have equals, now let me put some space over here, my bad. Here, you have to have two values. You have to say x is equal to 0 plus 4i over 2. X is equal to 0 minus 4i over 2. So then now you have x is equal to, what is 0 plus 4i? It's just 4i over 2. So x is equal to 2i. And this is 0 minus 4i, x is equal to negative 4i over 2. So x equals negative 2i. Okay, and that's what happened, right? Like we said, we would get two complex solutions, and we did. We got 2i and negative 2i. Okie dokie, great. What I want you to do is, for the next part, try and do these questions, and in the next part of the lesson, I'll be doing these parts over here. Try and do this question by yourself, this question by yourself, here. This question, this question. What I want you to do is do parts A, B, C, and D. Okay? Part A, what's the discriminant? Part B, what does the discriminant tell you? Part C, look at the graph. Part D, use the quadratic formula. Okie dokie? You got this.